Hello and welcome to another edition of the Mark Medley Show. And actually, this is the first time I'm kind of broadcasting live. Most of the time I record the shows, but I figured why not play around and actually host one out there live. So this one is coming to you live, and it's particularly timely since tonight is the Oscars. And I want to talk a few minutes about why our actions must go further than just boycotting the Oscars. And I say that because, and don't get me wrong, I do applaud Jada Pinkett and all the rest who fell in line and got on board, because it is an important issue. The whole issue of the diversity of the Oscars, if you will, no doubt is an important issue. But there's a way more important issue than just the fact that African Americans or people of color or minorities or whatever terminology you want to use are not being nominated, because there's no question the acting is there. There's no question that the roles that have been played and some of the acting that has been done is Oscar worthy. So more importantly, in my view, and again, I'm always going to put out the disclaimer, always going to put out the whole notion of this is my view only, has nothing to do with my work, has nothing to do with any affiliations outside of here, only has to do with my views and opinions here on the Mark Medley Show. There was an article published a couple of years ago about, it was a Nielsen report confirming that blacks watch more TV than any other group. As a matter of fact, it says network execs take note. According to a new report published by Nielsen, and mind you, this a couple of years ago, African American viewers carry a lot of weight when it comes to audience and purchasing power. The market research firm's latest African American consumer study, titled Resilient, Receptive, and Relevant, details the need for corporations and marketers to connect with black audiences who now have a buying power of $1 trillion and watch significantly more television than any other group. The report found African Americans favor programming with diverse casts and that African American women watch more television than men. Top television shows perhaps unexpectedly include reality TV programs and Scandal. More surprising, however, may be the lack of attention paid to the findings which have been published for the last 3 years. It's not only that African American audiences watch more TV, but it's substantially more. 2 hours over other groups. Ron Simon, head curator at the Paley Center for Media, tells The Grill. It's known in the industry, but it certainly hasn't gotten the attention it deserves. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up isn't from the standpoint of looking for more diverse shows or more folks that look like me on television. It's not that. Mine is just the opposite. I think the fact that a report is showing that African Americans watch more television than any other group, or black people watch more than any other group, that may be fine for marketing, that may be fine for product sales, but that's not fine in terms of our education. That's not fine in terms of our being able to move ourselves to a higher level, because we're sitting around watching too much TV. Now again, that's my opinion, and I'm not saying we can never watch TV. Do not walk away from this conversation thinking that Mark Medley said that we cannot watch TV. That's not what Mark Medley's saying. Mark Medley saying we watch too much television. There needs to be a balance. I've said it, I think, in the last show, and I know I've written it in the blogs. I don't understand the concept of reality TV. I have more than enough reality on my own to be sitting around fritting away time watching someone else's quote-unquote reality. And the truth of the matter is, even quote-unquote reality TV is not real. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That you have something that's called reality TV, but when you get down to it, it's really not real. And again, I think in my life, and I'm sure in yours, there's more than enough reality to go around. That's why I don't understand the concept of reality TV. But more importantly, and I know we have the whole boycott thing going on because we feel like the Oscars has dissed us, for lack of a better word, lack of a better term. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than just worrying about who gets what role. more importantly, is we need to pull back, in my opinion, from so much entertainment. We will move mountains to be entertained, yet will not move those same mountains to be educated. I ride in the community that I live in the urban area that I live in, and I will literally ride up and down blocks and see dilapidated housing with 15 or 20 dishes on top of them in order for the folks inside to be able to watch TV. And what always comes to my mind is, man, if they put that same amount of energy and effort into something that really mattered. And I know everybody's not like me. There's a bookworm that loves to read and this, that, and the other. But there is something for being said about trying to better oneself by educating oneself. This whole notion of just making every effort to be able to sit down and watch TV, to getting angry and huffy over who's not in a TV show or who's not nominated from a movie, that's nice, that's cute. But when all is said and done, there's got to be more to life than just movies, video games, television, something to entertain us. That Nielsen report was telling. And it was written from the perspective of savvy marketers not taking note how they can market to our audience. But as I said, as I read through that, I thought it was a sad commentary. Because you can just about rest assured that any negative statistic, generally, and it's a sad statement, you will get, quote unquote, the minorities or people of color that falls in that statistic. And to me, the fact that that's saying that we watch 2 hours more TV than any other group, because this is a significant number or a significant amount of more time. If I go back to the report again, it says top television shows perhaps unexpectedly include reality TV programs and Scandal. Now, I won't even get into my issue with Scandal, because that's a whole nother show, whole nother conversation, whole nother discussion. Just suffice it to say, I have not watched not one episode of Scandal, nor do I intend to watch any episodes of Scandal, just for what the show is about, just for the storyline. And I understand it's the African American producer or the writer. I know the young lady that put the show together, that puts the show together. I've read her work, I know her work, but still, just the storyline alone. But it's a significant amount. Here he goes here. We have a buying power of 1 trillion and watch significantly more television than any other group. Television is a passive activity, is not an active activity. It's passive. All you do is sit there. You don't have to think. You don't have to think. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there. There's a problem with that. At least with reading, it challenges your mind. It challenges your mind to think. And that's something that we as a people, we don't do enough of. I work in a school every day with a building full of children who cannot read. Yes, they can call off words. Yes, they may be able to what we call decode. And they may be partially fluent. But there's a difference between fluency, decoding, and comprehension. You can do all of the decoding. You can do all of the thing and might be somewhat fluent. But if you don't understand what you read, it really does not matter, because you've just wasted your time. That's pretty much all you've done. When you cannot comprehend what it is that you've read, and you're sitting there struggling either to decode words, or either you may get a paragraph or a sentence here or there, and then when someone says, okay, what does that mean to you? Tell me in your own words, paraphrase what that means to you. You can't do it. So for the most part, you've wasted your time. And reading is like anything else. You only get better at it by doing more of it. I tell children all the time, particularly those who are athletes, if you play basketball, how do you get better at shooting better foul shots? And they always tell me, by practicing shooting foul shots over and over again. Same thing with passing the football or catching the football. How do you get better at it? By doing it over and over again. Reading is the same way. How do you get better at it? By doing it more and more. And not just doing it, but you got to do it correctly. Because there's that old saying, practice makes perfect. That's not necessarily true. Correct practice makes perfect. Because you can practice something wrong and you're still doing it wrong. So proper practice is what needs to occur. So when I say our actions must go further than boycotting the Oscars, boycotting is nice. It sends a message. It sends a signal. Again, I applaud Jada Pinkett and everybody else that joined on, because I don't watch them anyway. So it was a real easy boycott for me, because I stopped watching all these award programs and things long ago. Excuse me. As a kid, as a child, I used to watch the music awards on ABC and all these other award programs. But the older I got and the more that I see that there was more I could do with my time, or there was better use of my time, the less of those type shows that I watched. So for me, this was an easy boycott because I wasn't watching it anyway. Don't intend to watch it. Did not intend to watch it. I don't care if the whole... For that matter, excuse me, I don't watch the BET Awards, which is predominantly African American. I don't watch the NAACP Image Awards. I don't watch any of those. Certainly, and it's not because they may or may not be good shows. That's not the issue. The issue is there has got to be a better use of our time than just sitting in front of a television or lying in front of a television. Frittering time away. Because as I said, television watching is a passive activity. It does nothing to stimulate the mind. Nothing. Matter of fact, you watch too much TV, your mind may atrophy. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you're certainly not using it as you're sitting there watching what my father used to call the idiot box. It's called the stupid box, the boob tube, the idiot box. Had no intelligence in it whatsoever, with the exception of if you're watching a documentary or an educational program. I kind of sort of give a pass if you're watching the History Channel or if you're watching something that's educational. And then if you take it a step further and do a little bit more research on it, that would now kind of connect it. But to just sit there, watching Scandal, Who's Doing Who, Housewives of Atlanta, reality preachers, come on, it just gets ridiculous. It really does when you think about it. But unfortunately, not too many people think about it. Now, I'm going to say again, don't get me wrong. I know people want to relax. You've had a hard day. That's not what I'm talking about. You might watch a show here or there. I'm talking about the constant worrying, the constant I can't live unless I see, the constant I can't do anything unless I watch. That's the kind of watching I'm talking about. Or either if you sit there hour upon hour upon hour and do nothing else. So my recommendation is we got to do more than just boycott. We got to read more. We got to go to school. We got to pay attention in class. Take an extra course. Even if you've graduated, even if you're multiple degreed. Go out and take another kind of course. Learn something new every day. Learn something that you didn't know. Do something that you didn't do. Take up the mantle more than just boycotting an award ceremony. That's it for today. Had a ball as always. We'll come back to you again one day live again on the Mark Medley Show.